Welcome to part 2 of the Introduction to NVivo workshop. In this part of the NVivo workshop, we will be going over how to create a document with NVivo, how to import sources, create codes, and how to code data. So let's go ahead and open up NVivo down here. And looking at the data folder on the left-hand side, we're going to be talking about the different types of data. So an NVivo data can include any documents, videos, audio files, pictures, spreadsheets, or other data or other data sources that you wish to analyze. At the highest level, data sources are divided into two main types, internals and externals. So there are two ways to get data into NVivo. You can either import it or create it. So I'm going to show you how to create a document. If you go under the Create tab right here, you can see there's a document button. For doing this, you'll need to copy and paste the text directly into the new document in NVivo. So if you want to open and create a document, you'll click on this document button and it should pop up. A new document window should appear. You can name the document, add a description if you would like to, and then hit the OK button. So we're going to just put sample, and then hit OK. And the document has opened. So in the new document frame that just opened, you can paste the text into it to create the document. So though this is an option in most research situations, you will want to import an already formatted document. So even though this is an option to create it in NVivo itself, most of the time you'll be importing something that's already been created somewhere else. So under the Import tab up here, you'll see that we have a bunch of different options for types of data to import. So under the Import tab, there's a Files import, there's Surveys for Excel files, text files, Qualtrics, and SurveyMonkey. Under Classifications, you'll find SPSS and import classification sheets. Under Bibliographies, you can import from Mendeley, EndNote, Zotero, RefWorks, and lastly, under Notes and Emails, you can import memos, Evernote, OneNote, and Outlook. You can also use codebooks, reports. InCapture is to import social media data, which we cover in a different workshop if you're interested in that. So to import, you would just select the type of file you're wanting to import, and then it should pull up an a window where you can select the file and import it into NVivo. Alternatively, you can also drag and drop files into if you click on Files under Data, you can drag and drop files into this empty space, or you can right-click in the white blank space in the center of the page and select Import From, and you can see it has a bunch of different options. So those are the three options to import files. You can select from up here, you can drag and drop into the white space, or you can right-click and select Import. So once you've imported all your files, you'll want to learn how to code it so that you can start your data analysis. So codes represent your coding scheme. When you are coding a piece of text, you are putting a code on the text to basically organize it into a specific theme or bucket that you're trying to analyze the the themes of your data. So you want to start by first, let's pull up a file. Let's pull up an interview file. Okay, so we can So if we right click and hit open file, we can open up one of the interviews that's under our interview file classification. So we're opening up Barbara's interview. It may take a second if you're, depending on how big the file is and how good your internet connection is. There we go. So here we have an interview between Barbara and Henry. So if we wanted to code this interview, we could do a few different options. So if you click on the Create tab up here, you'll see how there's a code option with a little circle above it. If you click on that, you'll have the option to name a new code. You can put a description. You can also put a nickname if you'd like to. So we can just put test, and then we can hit OK. So as you can see, the test code popped up over here. If you click on it, it doesn't have anything in it right now because we haven't coded anything under this code yet. And if you also go down to the codes tab under coding on your left, you'll see that the test code will also be listed under the codes in that tab. It may take a second to pop up. Unfortunately, when you're working with a lot of data, sometimes the software runs a little bit slowly. And there we go. Under the codes, now you can see that there's test, but there's 0 files and 0 references right now because we haven't coded anything under this new code. To create a new code, you can also right click on the blank space under the codes and just hit new code here. And it'll pull up the same dialog box from going up at the top and hitting code from up here. So those are 2 ways to make codes. With the same process, just a different way to find it. So there's many other ways to put text into the codes in NVivo. The best way to do this will depend on your project, how many codes you have, whether you're coding one code at a time versus coding the codes at once, etc. There are 3 important options to know about. You can highlight a piece of text, right-click, and code it using the code menu option. So say I want to code this, I can highlight it, right click, and then hit code selection, and it'll pull up a dialog box and I can select which code to put it under. So I can put it under test and it should code it there. And once it loads, you'll see reference 1 pop up under test because we have coded one thing under this new code we created. And there we go. Now we have 1 reference under this test code from our highlighted portion. You can also hit this button right here that says code in NVivo. Once you hover over it, that will also code the highlighted selection. If you hit it, the button next to it will also uncode it. And then the last way to code data is to drag and drop it. So once you've highlighted it, you can just drag you can just drag and drop into the test code or any of the other codes. And that should put another reference in there. And there we go. Now we have two references under the test code from dragging and dropping. So those are the three main ways to code your data. To view the codes and see how your data is being coded, you can turn on coding strips, which is a pretty cool feature from the document window. So if you go to the document window up at the top, you'll see coding strips. If you select that, you can select different options, but we're going to do recently coded. And then you'll see these coding strips to make the work you just did visible. So that will show you the coding you recently did. But as I said, there's also some other options for the coding strips. You can do all, none, most coding, least coding, and select different types. So you can play around with that and see what gives you the best data analysis. So as you're going through and reading your data, if you find that you want to create new codes, you can also highlight text and drag and drop it to beneath the codes that you already have. That will also create a new code where you can name it, put in a description, and then hit OK. Alternatively, you can also right-click it and code selection. And instead of coding to one of the codes you already have, you can just select top level code and create a new code. If you want to put it under an existing code so that you have a main code and then you have like a smaller existing code, you can put it under select this option here, select child code, and then that will place it under a main code. So those are two options to create new codes while you're going through and reading your data if you're finding that a new theme is emerging that you weren't originally expecting. So those are options for coding data. And in the next video, we're going to go more into queries and how to take the data we've coded and do some more analysis.